Hey, making your own fresh homemade pasta is a lot easier than you think. So stay tuned and I'll show you how. Hello everyone, I'm Mike the Stew Burner and welcome to my channel. Today, it's kind of therapy for me. It's dough, not just bread dough. We're gonna do some pasta dough today. So I'm gonna be making some homemade pasta. And probably one of the easiest homemade pastas that you can make if you're a starter. I don't make a lot of homemade pastas, so I try to keep it on the easy side when I do dabble into it, and hopefully as time goes by I make more and more different pastas and I get more comfortable with making other shapes and what have you. But today we're going to make cavatelli. I'm going to be making a egg pasta dough. Basically just going to be taking 2 cups of 00 pasta flour, and I'm going to be taking 4 eggs. So it's basically 2 eggs to every cup of flour when you're making egg pasta, and a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt for every cup as well. So I've got a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt here. And let's go ahead and get started right away. What we're going to do is take the flour and we're going to make a mound in the middle of my board, and we're going to make a well in the middle of the mound, and that's where we're going to crack our eggs. So I'm going to take my 4 eggs, I'm going to crack them into my well here. There we go. And make sure we don't get any leakage there. I'm also going to go ahead and throw my salt in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and start to basically just, well, I get a little leakage already. No worries about the leakage. It's all going to incorporate. So now I'm just going to break up the eggs, stir the eggs up a little bit, mix the eggs up. And while we're doing that, we're going to incorporate some of the flour once I break these eggs up enough. So we're getting there. And we got a little dam breakage here, so let's see if we can keep this from breaking too much here. And I've got a broken dam going here. So I'm going to just keep going on here, breaking up the eggs, incorporating some of the flour, and I've got my dam breaking rather nicely now all over the place. So this is going to end up being one heck of a mess because I'm not keeping track of it. No biggie here. We will get it all worked in. Get that off my fork. I got my scraper here. All I'm going to do is pull this egg into the flour and keep working it. It'll all come together. Trust me. Not my first rodeo on this. So I'm just bringing the egg and the flour together. Eventually it's going to start to form a ball. Then we're going to knead it. And we're going to knead it for about 10 minutes once we gather all this together, which is coming together nicely now. So you get the little dam breakage like I did. No worries. You can pull it all together like I am right now, and you'll be fine. Okay, so it's coming together nicely. Just going to keep working this together till I get a nice ball formed up here. Still a little bit wet, no big deal. We will pull this together. Now, if you're going to do anything, you definitely don't want to put too much flour when you're measuring. If you go a little shy, that's good because you can always add flour to this, but kind of hard adding another egg. So this is coming together nicely, as I said. So we're going to start pulling this together. And as you can see, it's starting to stick together. We'll put all these little pieces in and gather it. And keep working this dough. Now this dough is going to get stiff. So one thing that I really don't like about making pasta is this dough starts out really stiff. But after a while, it tends to relax and it becomes more manageable. I want to get all these little pieces that are on my board gathered up. And this is coming out nicely. This is driving me crazy though, because y'all know I don't like stuff on my hands. But as you can see, in just a few minutes here, my dough is formed into a nice ball. Now all I'm going to do is to knead this out. Now if it seems like it's a little wet, you can always add a little flour to the top here. We don't want to go too dry though. So now I'm just going to go ahead and start kneading it. Pull it out, push it down, and I'm going to do this for about another 8 minutes. And when we come back, in roughly 8 minutes, we should have a nice, smooth dough ball. Now this dough seems just a little bit on the damp side to me, so I'm just going to take just a very light sprinkle of flour on my board and absorb a little bit of that moisture. And we'll just keep right on going. Okay, we're just about there. We got about a good solid 8 to 10 minutes of kneading in here, and this dough looks fantastic, nice and smooth. So now what we want to do is wrap it in plastic wrap and let that sit for at least 30 minutes. Anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour is good. There we go. Gonna let that relax for at least 30 minutes. Set that to the side. I'm gonna clean up my mess here a little bit. But before I get into cleaning up my mess, let me tell you what else we're gonna do. I'm also gonna go ahead and make a very simple mushroom tomato sauce to go with this. It should work out really nice. And the type of sauce that I'm making, the mushroom tomato sauce, is just going to be a very simple, basic Italian sauce to go with the pasta. The first plate pasta, not the pasta we're thinking about in America where you're putting a hamburger or sausage or meatballs or whatever. And we're making a first plate pasta. It's going to be delicious. Few ingredients. I've got some tomatoes, some grape tomatoes here that I cut in half. Some fresh parsley. I've got about 10 cremini mushrooms that I quartered up. Actually, I cut into eighths. A little olive oil, some garlic. We'll pull it together and make a nice quick sauce. Once the pasta is cooked, which will only take about 3 to 4 minutes since we're cooking fresh pasta, this will come together real quick once we get the pasta going. So I'm going to clean up and we'll get into making the sauce. We'll set that to the side. Then we'll come in. Then we'll come back and we'll form up the pasta into cavatelli, which is very simple. Like I said, one of the most simplest pastas that you can prepare. And then we'll bring it on home. So we'll be right back. I'm back. Time to get on to this sauce. First of all, I'm going to take 2 cloves of garlic here and I'm going to bruise them. Basically, it's going to give them a little smash. That's it. Not going to cut these up, chop them up, mince them up. All I want to do is take these, add them to our olive oil, and get some flavoring into that olive oil. Then we'll remove them. So, those are done. Move my burner into position here. And let's get cracking. Alrighty. First thing I'm going to do is go in with a little bit of olive oil, probably about 3 tablespoons. There we go. Let that heat up a little bit, not too hot. We'll get our garlic in there, brown it off a little bit, get that olive oil infused with the garlic. Then we'll add our tomatoes, our mushrooms. We'll let that reduce down a little bit. A little salt and pepper. That's it. Oh, and parsley. All right. garlic is in. Just going to, like I said, saute this a bit, just till that garlic gets a little bit brown. We don't want to overcook it. I don't want burnt garlic in here. Don't want burnt garlic flavor in my olive oil. Ooh, this is so smelling good. Now for the tomatoes, I have about roughly 2 pounds of cherry tomatoes that I've cut in half. They're just going to go straight into the oil. Once they start to break down, I'm going to go ahead and add the mushrooms. Let it all break down, and then finish it off with a little salt, pepper to taste, and a little bit of parsley. We're golden. All right, our garlic is looking brown. It's not overcooking. It's smelling fantastic. See if I don't burn my fingers here. Get that garlic out of there. Going with the tomatoes. And I'm sure that made a great sound on the mic there. I'm going to go ahead, saute these off, get them broken down. I'll come back when these are just about right to add my mushrooms, and we'll go on from there. So follow along with me. Okay, tomatoes are breaking down nicely. Look at that, looking good. Let's go in with the tomato. Let's go in with the mushrooms. If I can get them in there. Now they're going to release some of the water that's still retained in the mushrooms, which is good. I want some of that good mushroom flavor. I want some of that liquid. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit of white wine. I should have mentioned. I'm going to go in with a little bit of white wine for the liquid, and we'll reduce that down as well. More flavor. Oops, got almost lost some mushroom there. So, I'm going to go ahead and continue to stir this a little bit. Let those tomatoes break down some more. Get some of that liquid to release from the mushrooms, and we'll be in a good situation. We'll go ahead and drop the temperature down just a little bit. I'm a little too high. This is breaking down nicely. The liquids have released from the mushrooms. They're looking good. They're smelling good. I'm going to go in with probably about 1/3 of a cup of white wine, just for flavor. We'll let that reduce down a bit, and add a little salt and pepper, some parsley, and we'll be good to go on our sauce. We'll set that to the side. Well, this is smelling fantastic as always. And what I'm going to do now is, actually I'm not going to test it yet. I haven't put any salt and pepper in here whatsoever. So, before I even taste it, I'm going to go ahead and put some to a point where I think it's going to be okay. So a little salt, a little pepper. We'll give it a taste. We'll adjust if we need to. And go on from there. This is a case where a little goes a long way. And if you could smell this now. Looking pretty good, huh? Woo! All right, let's give this sauce a little taste. That is almost there. A little more salt. Now you don't hear me say that very often, do you? A little more salt. A little more pepper. That should be good. Give that a little stir. I am going to go ahead and remove this, set it to the side, because I'm going to actually bring it back, reheat it when I go to put the pasta in here. So off this comes. We'll get our water. We'll start that boiling pretty soon here. In about another 10 minutes, I'm going to be able to start taking and forming up my pasta. And we're looking pretty good. So we'll be right back. Our dough is rested and it feels really nice. What I'm going to do now is start to form this up. I have a tray over here. as my little landing zone for the cavatelli as I prep them. It's floured. We don't want them sticking together. I'm going to go ahead and put down a little bit of a dusting here, where I'm going to work my pasta, get my dough round on here, flatten it down a little bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into some strips, and then I'm going to roll them out and into little ropes. Then we're going to cut them off a little bit into little nubs, roll them out with our thumbs, get them on the tray, get the pasta water up to a boil, get it in, let them cook for 3 to 4 minutes, toss them with our sauce. Ah, mia Dio. Anyways, let's go ahead here. So I flattened this out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut this into strips. Actually, the dough looks really good. You can't really see it because I've already flattened it out. I should have shown you before. There should be some little bubbles in there, if you may. But I can feel that this is a good dough, so I'm not going to go through all that. So I'm going to cut this in about 3/4 inch strips, and we're going to roll them out using 2 hands. Just kind of pulling them apart a little bit here. You're putting a little bit of pressure on here, but not too much. There we go. Now I'm going to align these. As you can see, I've got them all lined up. And I'm going to cut them into about 1 inch nuggets. Now we want to break them all up so they're not sticking. Oh, got a couple here that look like they aren't the same size. Anyways, there we go. Now, if I do this right, these will curl right back on my thumb rather nicely. Let me see if I can get this out of the way so you can see. And there we go. Cavatelli. They're a little bit on the big size. No worries there. You could put a little more pressure on it, make the pasta a little bit thinner. But as you can see, I take the cut side, put it up, squish it down with my thumb, pull it, and away they go. Nice little cavatellis. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these rolled out. And again, this is my therapy. Then once they're all rolled out, onto my tray over here, we'll get the water going, and we'll get some of these cooked up. So speedy quick, I'll get these rolled up. Well, I'm back. The water is at a nice boil. I have generously salted it. Now it's time to go in with the pasta. So in we go. And like I said, this is going to take only about 3 to 4 minutes to cook. That's the best thing about fresh pasta. They'll kind of float to the top here. Then we're just going to scoop them right from the water into our sauce. Let them finish cooking off in the sauce, and we should be good to go. So, a couple minutes, that's all it's going to take. I love these little lids. They're awesome. They prevent boilovers. If you get a chance to get some, I'll see if I can get a link. I'll add them, and I love them. I love them. All right, a couple minutes, we'll be right back. Okay, I've got about a minute remaining on these pastas, on these cavatelli. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my pot off, let them sit in the water for just a few minutes, not even a few minutes, maybe a minute, while I heat the sauce up, and then we'll get the pastas right in the sauce to finish cooking. So off to the side. Get the sauce back on. Get this up to a simmer. We'll add the cavatelli. Now I made the cavatelli a little bit large. And the reason why I did that is because I've got some fairly decent sized chunks of mushroom here. So I didn't want them outsized by the cavatelli. Probably could have went maybe half the size that I've got them. They're still going to be good. My sauce is at the simmer here. I'm going to go in with the parsley, the final touch on the sauce. And since we're just going to go ahead and stir it all together, I'm going to get my arm out of the way here. We're going to go in now with the cavatelli. In they go. And if we get some of that water, that's fine. It's not too overly salted, and it'll help thin out the sauce a little bit. The sauce is going to, the pasta is going to absorb some of that sauce. This is looking fantastic. All right, give this a stir. And if you could smell this right now, you would be in the food heaven that I am in. There we go. Nicely incorporated. As you can see, this is a nice first pasta dish. I mean, you could have it as the second if you wanted to. I mean, us Americans, I mean, we got it all mixed up as far as what's first and second as far as when it comes to Italian food. All right, we got about another 30 seconds and we should be in the money. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, in between? I'm going thumbs up because I can smell it. And this cavatelli is looking fantastic. We are there. The final moments here. And would you take a look at that? There you go. Smell-o-vision. Smell it too. All right. I've got to go in and try this because it looks so good. I'm not even going to plate it up. Out of this world. This is freaking banging. Perfect pasta, fresh homemade pasta. You saw just how easy it is to make it. The sauce was super simple itself. A lot of simple ingredients. You've got to make it. You've just simply got to make it. You got to try it yourself. And hey, let's do a little bit of business here. If you like my channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, and most importantly, share. This episode shout out goes out to all you Navy cooks that ever attempted to make homemade pasta at home or even up in the on the ship. Now, you probably weren't doing it for the crew, but you may have been doing it for the captain. Again, if you like my videos, please hit the like button, subscribe, and right over here, go ahead and punch my logo. That makes it so much easier for you to subscribe. So until next time, thanks, and we'll see you.